As we get started over here in your Gelbvieh Balancer show, this young fella brings us a really high quality heifer here, and we're going to be a little limited in terms of numbers in the class, but I tell you, there's no doubt about her in terms of just the look, the presence, the quality that you want to look and talk about. So good way to start our show on this side. We'll work our way through, but young man's got him a heck of a nice heifer here to start today. Thank him for bringing a nice heifer out.
And first place in Class 1 of your Gelbvieh Balancer show goes to entry number 2, 22K, exhibited by Avon Moon. Congratulations. Now entering the ring will be Class 2. At this time, I would like to introduce our judge, judging the Gelbvieh Balancer show, Mr. Chad Holtkamp. He is the owner and operator of Holtkamp Cattle Company at West Point, Iowa. Chad and his wife, Kim, began Holtkamp Cattle Company as a first-generation operation in 1988 with a start of 4 cows. Holtkamp Cattle Company now consists of a full-time cattle operation. Champions have been ornated from HCC at the national and state levels. Cattle are marketed through multiple sales throughout the year, emphasis on purebred cattle as well as club calves. Chad has judged numerous livestock shows throughout the state and nation. If you could join me in giving Mr. Chad Holtkamp a round of applause for evaluating our Gelbvieh Balancer show.
Again, I sound like a broken record, but we've got a ton of variation in this class within age, but also within types and kinds and shapes and sizes. So you boil it all down, and of the top 3 cattle that I thought were obviously the best in my opinion, I think this solid black heifer for the young lady just reads to have a bit more longevity built into her. I think that one's rib cage and the way she's designed, her lack of condition at this point, all scream and project to futuristic kind of pieces. Really neat and attractive. The most chiseled about her head, neck, and shoulder. I think she reads with the right angles as we get towards the ground. And, she's got enough dimension. I think if we could fill her in a bit more in her forerib and give her just a shot more overall bulkiness to her center body, I think I would like that even better, and she'd kind of win a little more handily for me. But still, there's a lot of quality pieces built into that female. Young lady does a really good job sticking the wheels off that one. I think in 2 and 3 between this smoke heifer excuse me, and the colored up one for the young lady coming next. They're built with a lot of similar pieces. I just see a little more real brood cow nature about the young man's coming here in 2. That one is soft and practical in her body. She's got a good look about her. To me, she's more correctly hinged when we get to the ground on this one than the one that comes directly behind her. I think if we could soften her up and make her just go a tick better out of her hock to the ground, that one could run with the black female that won the class, but that one's still got a lot of good cow pieces. Love the wild nature of this one coming here in 3rd. I mean, she's got a neat silhouette about her, packs a punch in terms of dimension. I think she's just a little too rigid and a little past prime here today to move her up. She just wants to waddle and duck off either end of her skeleton. A little too much condition, but I like those things about that female. Young lady's female coming there in 4th. I like that female for some aspects, and I appreciate the young lady sticking with it on that one. She's got a neat look. She's got some attractiveness. We just need to give her a shot more overall density, a little more mass, and overall power to run up in the class, but she's built correctly. I liked her look and design. The cream-colored heifer for the young man, kind of same story. I think this one's got some neat aspects in terms of her front-end design and how attractive she is. I think she starts to roll for me. She doesn't have enough real genuine width at this stage of the game. Starts to roll, like I said, off either end of her skeleton. If we can tidy up some of those aspects, she can run up in the class. Then young lady's got a big stouty to round out here. I think we're on the other end of extreme, maybe just a little bit. She starts to wash out on me and splay out in terms of her skeletal makeup, but a lot of power, a lot of cow power and broodiness built in there. Good class, lots of variation. Give those young people a round of applause if you would.
As we switch our attention over here on the Gelbvieh division, we've got two very high quality animals that we come out here. We have some differences there that we can talk about between the two, but both have got maternal ability in terms of just center body, have some capacity to them. The red heifer just a little bit more to her, just a little broodier, a little more upper rib shape, a little more muscle, but I think most importantly where she goes ahead, and I like her advantages over the black heifer, is I think she's just softer in terms of her structure. She's better in her rear hock, sets down, takes a little more comfortable stride off of both ends, and she's my kind of cattle from just a broodiness, stoutness, and power. I sure like that about her. Now, I'm not going to argue the fact that the black heifer's a little nicer in terms of her head, neck, and front end, offers maybe just a little bit more femininity than maybe our class winner. Not that the first one doesn't have enough, but she's got a little bit more from an extra standpoint. From that standpoint, she's good in terms of her upper top line, upper skeleton. I like that about her. But again, as we talk about, just a little bit edgy when we put her in motion. I'd like to see her a little more comfortable in terms of her stride off of both ends. But a nice pair, high quality heifers again as we continue in here in this show.
And placings for class number 2 in your Gelbvieh Balancer show are as followed. First place goes to entry number 3, LHC 1224J, exhibited by Molly Anderson. Second place in class 2 goes to entry number 4, LHC 1208J, exhibited by Molly Anderson. Congratulations. Now entering the ring will be class 3 in your Gelbvieh Balancer female show. And placings in class number 8, AOB, are as followed. First place goes to entry number 37, EXCR Frontier Gal 184J, exhibited by Ella Weldon. Second place goes to entry number 36, BCRS Blanca B014, exhibited by Staten Bowman. Third place goes to entry number 34, exhibited by Emma Pitstick. And fourth place goes to entry number 30, exhibited by Lindsay Kaiser. And fifth place goes to entry number 31, exhibited by Rex Harrison. And sixth place goes to entry number 38, exhibited by Alani. Now in the ring is Class 9 in their AOB class.
Yep, just right there. Out here in this in your Gelbvieh class, three very nice, useful heifers. We've kind of got three different types and kinds, but we still have a lot of good that we can talk about. The heifer that I start with most closely fits what I like, just in terms of very maternal, in terms of her body shape and balance, and one, when you put her in motion, she's so flexible to ground, and she maintains that balance extremely well. She's not the longest fronted individual, but I think it still fits together, and everything kind of matches as she gets out there and goes. I just like her from a size and structure and kind standpoint. I think really well. The heifer here between second and third, I think we've got some gives and takes. And I use a little more conservative framed one here, but I like her just from a levelness and squareness. She's smooth about her shoulder, but I think she's just a little bit deeper in terms of her center body, a little bit more uniform in terms of her rib shape and flank. She's really sound at the ground. There's times I'd like to soften her up a little bit in terms of her rear hock just a little bit. She gets just a little bit sharper from that standpoint. The red heifer, love her length of body, love her growth. She looks to be a very productive, high performance kind of a heifer, but for me gets just a little straighter up there in her front end and maybe not quite as long strided. And I'd just like to see her just a little bit softer in terms of her body shape and kind, but still a good female that's got a lot of good to her.
And placings for Class 3 Gelbvieh Balancer are as followed. First place goes to entry number 6, BCFG Butler's Miss Jalen, J534, exhibited by Aiden Rabb. Second place goes to entry number 10, Wham Miss Flair, 119J, exhibited by Jordan McNosh. And third place goes to entry number 7, Jolene, exhibited by Laney Gribbins. Congratulations. Now entering the ring will be Class 4 in your Gelbvieh Balancer show.
Well, I'll start off with this in this class. If anybody wants to swap me places and come put the cowboy hat on, and you get behind the microphone and explain this pair, be my guest, because this is what you get paid to do, and make close calls and make tough decisions. And as I see him today, I'll tell you why this young man's going to go ahead and lead the class. Out of this incredibly good pair of females up here on the top end, here's just a female to me that just screams fresh with the combination of being elite. This one is particularly good and exquisite about her head, neck, and shoulder transition. When that young man can do that and get her head extended, boy, look at the presence and the cockiness that this one shows us from the side. Big bodied, good made in terms of her feet and leg set. I love how fluid she is when she gets around the ring, level in terms of her design, stepping behind the cattle, and she still has enough. I think the heifer in second's got more. This one still has enough, and because of that, I think this female just becomes really, really hard to beat based on all those attributes put together in one package. Young man does a good job getting her stuck as well. Now, this female in second has got some intriguing pieces just in terms of her density and her power. That is one monster-legged, good-footed, just productive kind of brood cow prospect. She's so stout and dense and burly and cow-like, and that's how I like to build them. From her shoulders back, I think this one gives that one a run all day long. If we could just do a couple things, extend her out of her neck, tuck her up in her chest floor, and just clean her up a little bit in terms of her condition. Those would be the couple things I want to tweak, and then I think she can really contend to beat that one right ahead of her. But man, all the cow power and the mass and the shape is all built in right there. I love those things about that heifer to be a very, very competitive second. Young man's got a neat built one here in third. This one is attractive. This one's level. This one's good in terms of her design. Pretty good in terms of feet and leg set. I think she starts to set a little wide out of her shoulder and how she puts them down, and just compositionally how her skeleton is made. I'd like to flatten that shoulder up just a little bit, and I'd like to strengthen her there in her loin, and consequently give her a little more depth to her rear flank, but a good female in her own rights as well. Young lady, Shorthorn, appearing female here in fourth. Again, great balance, got a good look about her, got some body and some productivity built in as well. I think if you start to study real genuine shape, there's not enough there for that female. I think she starts to wash out when you study her from behind in terms of width. I think she's a little too stiff off either end of her skeleton. I'd like to tweak and refine those things about that one. The two cream-colored or smoke heifers coming next are both really nice and productive and moderate in their kind. I think they both have some balance things we could fix. Maybe both of them need to have just a shot more overall look and quality. Young man's that's going to round the class. We just need to make a little more flexible and fluid when she's on the move. Great class, really, really good top pair. Give those exhibitors a round of applause if you would.
As we get out here in your Gelbvieh Bouncer Show, a very challenging set of May heifers and really high quality, really, really well presented. And we've got some differences and choices to make. And I know where you're going to line up your priorities. And this is kind of such a debatable class in terms of where you're at. But I'll just go ahead and talk you through them a little bit where I see them and where I want to get to. For me in these May heifer calves, the one that I just start with is most moderate in terms of her size, but she's still big enough for me, and I think she's still so good where she hits some things for me. She's still a combination heifer. She's very feminine as you look and start up in her head, her neck. She's level and square in her body, both the top side of her skeleton, her forerib, back to her rear rib and flank. I like that about her. I would change her where I'd like to see her get out of her front end from a structure standpoint better, and I'd be really comfortable with her if we could get her to move out of her front end. But her hind leg structure is good, and I like that about her, but she just fits more of my kind. Then we get into the one that probably is when she first walks out here, she's so well presented and so hairy that she gives you that really, really good look. She does. But when we get out here and you kind of study her and break her apart, you know, where she's at, she's a little bit bigger in terms of just size and performance, maybe where it kind of fits my comfort level. And then you come back and you go in there and she just gets a little bit just plainer in terms of her head. But the biggest thing, I just like to see her free up in terms of the way she moves off of her hind leg. She's really deep-sided, but I'd like to see just a little more natural shape, a little more natural width and power, and I'd like to see her have a little bit more confidence in terms of the way she takes off and moves off of her hind two legs, and that's probably where I'd change her the most. But I will say that is one highly presented, still good balanced heifer from the side that a guy likes really well. The heifer here in third, I sure like your heifer from her shoulders back. I think she's beautiful. She's a little bit shorter fronted, but she's so attractive in the top side of her skeleton. I love her hip structure standing there. But young lady, when I put that one in motion, she's got a little hitch to her get along here today. It just seemed like she's laboring kind of off her front and back end. But I think standing there is one I wanted to go ahead and use, but we put her in motion, and I think that's where she comes up short. But three very high quality heifers have had a lot of good to them, presentation off the chart. But just a challenging way to go ahead and line them three up.
And placings in class number 4 over in your Gelbvieh Balancer class, or class 4, are as followed. First place goes entry number 11, GHGF Contessa Princess J10J1, exhibited by Justin Teeter. And second place goes entry number 12, GF Lexi's Drool, exhibited by Hannah Wooten. And third place goes to entry number 13, AMT Jasmine 165J, exhibited by Allie Rabb. Congratulations. Now in the ring now is class number 5.
Another strong class. Still lots of variation we got to work through, but good ones all the way down the line. And just another one that kind of screams elite and kind of commands your attention would be this young man's one that's going to start off this class. Just a bold, productive bodied one that's got a great running gear underneath her there in terms of her feet and legs set. I really like her just overall silhouette and type and kind, just well put together in terms of presentation. Just a good female in her own right, and we'll study her a lot harder when we get out here in championship contention, but that one screams just quality from end to end for me to win this class. She's a bigger, stouter version, in my opinion, maybe in terms of her feet and legs, than this heifer in second, but I like this female here in 2 for some aspects. So like I said, on the other end of the spectrum in terms of frame, but she's wide constructed, got a great look from the side, got some length of spine. I think if we could strengthen her in her loin there when she wants to wash out every so often on the profile, that'd make me feel a little better. And if she was just a little more collected when she gets out to move it instead of paddling those rear legs out, I'd like that as well. But a good female in second with some breeding pieces that young man can use. I like the productivity of this young man's heifer in third, a lot like our class winner. Here's a big-bodied, bold sprung one that's got some real dimension and cow power when you study her. Just a little coarser in her overall makeup, in my opinion. Let's peel that brisket out of her there, maybe make her a shot softer at the ground on those rear legs in particular. I know she was fighting you here today, so I commend the job you were doing to still get her presented. I still think there's a couple things I want to tweak on her, but a very, very nice heifer to be a very competitive third here. And then young lady coming next, I want to commend for a job well done at staying with it out here. That heifer has given her all kinds of fits, and you know it's unfortunate when they don't want to cooperate when they go to town, but she's doing a great job. Heifer's got some body, heifer's got some mass. We could just balance her up a bit better, but good class all the way through, and congratulations to all 4 of our exhibitors.
As we go on this side of the ring here, again, we've got three quality animals, a little bit of variation, but young lady in this class brings me one that really hits me in terms of what I like and what we look for. She gives us a good presence and look as we see her out here from the side, and you could tell that she's massive in terms of her body and good in terms of just her maternal dimension. Still got some power to her. Gives us a nice look and does a nice job. Now I will say the heifer in second, probably has that advantage in being just a little bigger footed at the ground, a little more stoutness in terms of her bone and structure standpoint that way. But to me, just didn't quite blend as well from front to rear. Just like to lay her down her tail head just a little bit, but yet still a very, very good heifer in her own right. And I still like those advantages of her size and power over the little nicer made one there in third. I think the one in third is definitely very feminine headed and necked and smooth about her shoulder. I like that about her, but maybe not just enough of her compared to them other two just in terms of body. And I love her in terms of her straightness of lines, levelness and squareness out there through her hip, but just like to power up a little bit more in terms of dimension. But again, 3 very, very nice females on this side of the ring.
And placings in Class 5 of your Gelbvieh Balancer Show are as follows. First place goes to entry number 14, GF Julie, exhibited by Hannah Wooten. And second place goes to entry number 16, MDR Ellie Zenit 115J ET, exhibited by Kyson Thee. Third place goes to entry number 15, ATM Miss Maddie 121J, exhibited by Callie DeRosset. Now in the ring will be class number 6 of your Gelbvieh Balancer Show. And placings over in class 10 on your AOB show are as follows. First place goes to entry number 48, exhibited by Nikki Rihanna's Ruby 130J, exhibited by Wyatt Lange. And second place goes to entry number 56, Miss CCF Panda J105, exhibited by Trey Caffin. And third place goes to entry number 54, exhibited by Kaiser Down. And fourth place goes to entry number 55, exhibited by Kyra Lehman. Congratulations. Now in the ring is Class 11.
Again, a really, really high quality pair of cattle that I think are very similar in terms of type and kind. Again, just as expect within this breed here, very, very maternal in terms of just their shape. And, I really like them in terms of just their size and usefulness in terms of the way they're put together. Now, the slight advantage I seen in the one I want to go ahead and start with, she's just a little nicer in terms of femininity, the way she ties in the top side of her shoulder, the presence she has. And I think she's just a notch softer from the side in terms of her rear rib and flank, and still got some shape to her. I like that about her. I think we might have a little bit more shape in the heifer in second in terms of just top side and width of top and just sheer muscle and power. But yet just not quite as attractive in terms of just her neck and not near as much fullness, and maybe just a slightly just not as flexible in terms of her hind leg. But we talk them two as a pair. They're both very maternal, very good cow prospects. Nice pair here in the Gelbvieh show.
And first place in class number 6 of your Gelbvieh Balancer Show is exhibitor number 18, GHGF Onyx Lass 32OJ, exhibited by Justin Teeter. In second place goes entry number 17, KLB Jasmine 104J, exhibited by Clayton Jones. Now entering is class number 7 of your Gelbvieh Balancer Show.
Well, another really good class here, particularly 3 deep on the top end. Lots of good up here. But young lady in the pink's got a heifer that, again, is just one of those that's put together just really darn nice. One that's big-bodied, still the right size, I think, in terms of her frame, but so much productive rib and belly sweep and some shape. Real shape built into her there, man. And then when she does that and cooperates and cocks off, that one gives you another proud, attractive look from the side. Motors around the ring with more than enough flexibility, particularly to be carrying that much weight. She does it quite nicely. Like I said, this grand drive will be fun because we'll get to evaluate a lot of good ones against one another, and that's another one of them right there. Young man's got a heifer coming here in second that really, if you start melting them down and studying pieces, I like a lot of things about this female. Great built in terms of her design at the ground. Really love the feet and legs flexibility. She's kind of interesting because she might be pushing a little chest up there, but if you get a measuring stick out and see just how far that one ties at the top of her shoulder, she's really attractive, really high tying and proud about her head and neck. Great belly, great body, just lots of good things. Like I said, I'd like to peel some brisket off. I'd like to strengthen her right in behind her shoulder in terms of her top line collection, but that one's got some really, really good breeding pieces on down the line. Young man should be proud to have that heifer in his barn. The female coming here in third kind of represents that same kind of look and stoutness and power. I like those things about her. I think when we start drawing the line in terms of structure, she just gets a little too stilty for me off either end, particularly there out of her hock. She gets gets to the ground, but a female that's wide, she's dense, she's got a good look. I just don't think she moves good enough to be in the top 2. Young man's got a nice streamlined one here in 4th that has a really nice silhouette. I like her balance and her attractiveness. Again, she just doesn't have enough extra cow there to run with the other 3 right ahead of her. Again, maybe one we could just free up at the ground and make her just a notch better as she gets to motoring. The yellow heifer here in 5th, I like this one's overall cow power as well. Kind of same story. I think she's just another broody one that's got some power and potential. She's just a little too rigid today. Needs to be freed up. And then the young lady's got one coming next that I'd like to modify in terms of her top line construction as well as the way she hits the ground. But she's a moderate size. She's got some density and some power. I just want to aesthetically make her a little bit better from the side. Good class. Give all those young people a round of applause if you would.
As we get on the Gelbvieh side here, we've got a nice pair of these big senior yearling cattle, and again we've got some differences. But the other thing you're going to see within this breed, to me, is a very maternal breed. In my experience with him, a very fertile breed. So that's where we're going to talk about, where I talk about them being maternal in terms of just their shape. We've got one probably a little more conservative in terms of her size, but with that, she's got just a little more to her, just in terms of just muscle, a little bit more shape, a little more outer turn, a little more bone to her. I just like her from that body composition standpoint, a little bit better. Now, there's times I'd like to see her get out of her front shoulder just a little bit better, and I think that's where the heifer in 2nd probably gets along and has that advantage over her a little bit better. The one in 2nd is definitely deeper sided. You just look at her from the top of her shoulder to the bottom of her rib. She's got more depth and dimension that way, but I just gets a little flatter up there in the upper portion of her rib. Need just a little bit more muscle in terms of her hip and quarter for her to balance up enough for me, but still sound structured, big bodied cow prospect to make a really good class there at the Gelbvieh show.
And placings in class number 7 of your Gelbvieh Balancer show. First place goes to entry number 21, GCRK0178, exhibited by Molly Anderson. Second place goes to entry number 20, LHC0193, exhibited by Molly Anderson. Congratulations. Now entering the ring will be the selection of your Gelbvieh Balancer Grand Champion female. We would like to thank Mr. Chad Holtman for coming out and evaluating these cattle. Again, we will be selecting your grand champion, Gelbvieh Balancer female. Results from Class 11 over in your AOB side are as followed. First place goes to entry number 60, JSUL Dat Diego 1053J, exhibited by Claire Dorsey. Second place goes to entry number 68, TSS She's the One. Third place, exhibited by Braylon Schaefer. And third place goes to entry number 63, BMW STCC Myra 213J, exhibited by Claire Sennett. And fourth place, it goes to entry number 65, exhibited by Tucker Shepard. And fifth place goes to entry number 61, exhibited by Wyatt Brinkley. Sixth place goes to entry number 67, exhibited by Haley Dean. And entries number 62, 66, and 69 are scratches. We are selecting your grand champion AOB female right now. We are selecting your grand champion AOB female right now. And could you join me in giving Mr. Corbin Cowles a round of applause for evaluating your AOB females?
Folks, I'll just grab a hold here and go a little bit on your Gelbvieh side. And I tell you what, as you go through, and it doesn't matter, where you're at in terms of quality, and I know maybe your numbers weren't where you want to, but we could have had a heck of a lot of numbers, and you still would not have a hard time. You'd have a hard time getting quality better than what you got out here. And I know that black heifer, and talk about her a little bit, just, that is one high quality, highly presented, good looking heifer that I think really does some things and has got a great future, ahead of her. I just like a lot of things about her. Just a few things out here where maybe just soften her top up just a little bit at times. Part of I think just young and kind of getting her broke, but that's a very, very high quality heifer. The red heifer, boy, if that is not just a tremendous cow, I tell you, she has got some boldness, some power, some dimension, a lot of cow power to her. I think her front still fits her. She's not the littlest necked within the group, but I just think she's so flexible and bold and dimensional. I think she represents a lot of what I would see in terms of, where you're at. Next heifer, awesome in terms of structure, very soft the way she gets around. You could tell standing there she's laid back in terms of her knee. I talked about her in class just a little bit. Her neck fits her body. She's good in terms of center body. She's fresh in terms of her condition, and I think she, to me, is still feminine in terms of the body she has in terms of her neck, and I think that's a high quality heifer. Young man's May heifer, and I thought she was one that we had a lot of variation in terms of size, and I tried to land in there, where I kind of like those cattle just a little bit more moderate. She fits me kind of size-wise, and she definitely fits me in terms of just squareness of build, down her top and from her forerib to her rear rib and flank. A nice female. I talked about her maybe getting out of her front end just a little bit better, but still a very, very high-quality female. Young lady's heifer, just big and bold and still has a beautiful look to her. I like the way she ties everything together. Her neck comes up high out of her shoulder. She's got that good maternal swoop. Good in terms of foot and bone relative to her body, but maybe gives up a little bit there, but still a very, very nice high-quality female. Young man heifer, I thought, did a really good job, and that was a close pair of cattle that were very, very similar. This one's got a really good look. She's kind of keeping his hands full of getting her going, but you talk about maternal ability. I think she sure got it, and that's a nice female. The big senior yearling, another good heifer, moderate in terms of her size, still got some shape and dimension, and still a good heifer. But what I'm just trying to say is it's a really good lineup. I know I was exposed to the Gelbvieh breed back. My father-in-law on the commercial side had some Gelbvieh cows that he run commercially, and I was always so impressed about how fertile those cattle were and how good and productive and how useful they were. And they just, it always sat with me that I knew they've got quality and kind, and then you bring these cattle out here that look like show heifers and fit the mold. So it's been a good show. Compliments to you guys here in terms of the quality we got out here. Put your hands together. We'll get you champion reserve here in the Gelbvieh show.
Well, over here on your AOB side, we've kind of come down to the nuts and bolts of it here in the Grand Drive, and man, we've had a lot of quality come to me here today, and I want to say thank you first and foremost to the North American for the opportunity and invitation to be here and get to sort cattle and have a lot of fun here in my home state on the green chips. I don't think there's anything else that I'd rather be doing in November than be in Louisville at the North American at what I call the Super Bowl of cattle shows. I think a lot of you would agree there's something different about being in Freedom Hall or Broadbent Arena on these green chips. It means a lot to all of us, or else you guys wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here doing this, and I just appreciate the quality that you brought to me here today. It's been a lot of fun to kind of study and pick apart, but still praise the cattle and praise you exhibitors and your families and the breeders and the fitters, everybody that's got these cattle ready. In the AOB show, we've got a tremendous amount of variation. Obviously, by origin, there's all different breeds, all different shapes and sizes, all different things represented out here, but one thing that it does come down to is we can build different cattle similarly and get them to all look like this, and hopefully you guys have been able to see a mold that I can establish starting from those babies all the way back here to these big ones. I think there's a ton of good. I'll go through and talk them maybe in groupings or just a little bit more individually so you know what's going on in my head. These first two classes, I think both of these babies are pretty gangster in my opinion. Both of them are just elite in terms of look and style and presence. Both of them are pretty well built at the ground and really sound as we get to moving. I think both of them have bright futures ahead of them, and they're a little different, each one of them amongst the two. But I think both of them are very, very high quality. Young ladies, one out of the third class is one, again, that just screams elegance and balance and cow power all put in one. One that's correctly built, one that's got a heads up, attractive presence, lots of unique things about that one that you got to appreciate and tie into. And her future is probably even better than what her current today is. Young lady's got one here coming out of the next class that's, like I said, she won that class based on just youthfulness and freshness and attractiveness. One that's good built. I like that female. Like I said, she needs time and just more of a feed bucket to develop the rest of that body shape and just add some mass, but she's very, very genuine and correct in her kind. You got to appreciate that. I'll go ahead and say that I don't think there's a wrong way to go between the three here in the back. I think all three of these female are built for the big leagues. They're built to be on the green chips, and accordingly, we have to get really, really nitpicky between the three of them to figure out how we're going to go. The young man, the blonde young man up here with the heifer that's the third from the back, this one, in my opinion, just has some out there pieces. I don't think you can really build one much better than this at the ground in terms of her skeleton, and still on top of that, she's so daggone fresh and attractive in the way she's built, and with that soundness, the freshness, and then to still have body like that, I think that's very, very unique, and she's just a unique kind of creature. Sure, we could do a couple things. We could fill her right behind her shoulder ever so slightly, and she doesn't have as much mass maybe as one or two of the other cattle in the lineup. But like I said in class, she's got enough of it